Emma, Norman, and Ray are three extremely intelligent orphans that share a happy and structured life at the Gracefield house along with 35 other kids. We first meet Isabella, mom, at breakfast. Isabella looks after the children with matronly tenderness and care. All of the kids, but especially Emma, adore and respect her. After breakfast, the children are seen showcasing their academic prowess in a series of examinations, all of which Emma, Norman, and Ray ace with flying colors. The children then play a game of tag on the huge green fields and within the dense woodland that surrounds Gracefield. The kids take turns talking about their dreams of being adopted and leaving Gracefield as they debate what the outside world must be like. In fact, Connie, one of the younger children, is being adopted today. After a day of games and pleasure, Connie bids her Gracefield family a sorrowful farewell and is escorted out of the house by Isabella. Emma discovers Little Bunny, Connie's favorite stuffed rabbit, while doing cleanup. She attempts to return the doll to Connie while taking Norman, realizing that she cannot possibly adjust to her new foster home without her best friend. The two travel to a sort of distant garage where a truck is sitting in a stone hallway. Emma believes that Connie would eventually locate the rabbit if she places it in the truck's rear, but when she goes to put it there, she finds a terrible scenario. Emma stumbles back in amazement as she encounters Connie's lifeless, gray body. When she comes over to confirm, Norman is equally shocked to see their deceased former sibling. They're trying to figure it out when they hear sounds coming from another room and run to the vehicle to hide. As Emma takes a good look at these entities and realizes they are real monsters, horror feeds horror. She and Norman battle to contain their screams of dread as the monsters talk about how the children are being raised as premium monster meat. Emma asks where Mom is and receives a heartbreaking response. Emma and Norman's entire world has been shattered in a matter of seconds, exposing the dreadful reality of their life. They eventually manage to get out of the hallway and flee back to the home as Emma collapses and screams piteously. She and Norman are deciding what to do that night when Norman recommends they prepare an escape. Emma is hesitant to allow the other children to perish since she doesn't want to. Like tag and chess, Norman assures her it comes down to strategy. As the episode ends with Isabella holding Connie's little bunny, she appears to be aware that someone was snooping about, giving Emma a moment of solace. Emma is inconsolable after discovering the truth about their house. However, Norman advises her that they must continue to act normally. Mama may be aware that someone left the bunny behind at the gate, but she is unsure of who. Or, to be more precise, if she did, Emma and Norman are too priceless to be killed only for having observed Connie's processing. Emma and Norman decide during playtime that the safest route to get away is through the forest, but as soon as they cross the small fence, they come across a huge seamless concrete wall. Further complicating matters, Mama only needs to glance at her watch to know exactly where to look for a misplaced child. Now that they have some sort of tracking gadget implanted somewhere in their bodies, they are aware that security is fairly low. Mama appears to make a huge deal out of warning people like Norman and Emma without saying a thing. While grieving privately over Connie at home, Mama unexpectedly interrupts Emma and asks why she's been less happy lately. Norman's only option is to stand in the corner and watch in horror as Emma pretends to be happy for Mama. When Ray rings the dinner bell, he ends up bailing them both out, but as Emma and Norman leave, Mama asks them directly if they were at the gate the night before. Of course not, that's against the rules, they cheerfully reply before carrying on. Once they are once more on their own, neither can contain their utter dread any longer. Emma even falls to her knees, but Norman picks her up with a shaking hand, allowing Emma to realize that she is not alone and that there is still hope. They merely need a plan in order to leave this place. As part of that strategy, they will hide a large quantity of tablecloths next to the wall, which they will later use to build rope for their escape. However, someone followed them to the wall and luckily for them, it was their friend Ray who was curious about what was going on. They tell him, and to their surprise, he accepts it all without a shred of doubt because he is familiar with Norman well enough to know that he wouldn't lie about something of this nature, Emma being a different story. Ray has a great issue with Emma's determination that all 37 children would be leaving, despite his willingness to contribute his not insignificant brain to the elaborate escape plot. He points out how difficult it would be to get everyone off the farm and away from Mama without suffering significant, if not total, losses, as well as something I had not thought of. Beyond that wall, there is a demon's world that is not meant for humans. Getting away is only the first step. To give the older, bigger, and stronger a chance at survival, the young, small, and weak must be left behind. However, Emma won't respond to Ray's strategy. She doesn't care whether it's impossible, as long as everyone is saved, that's all that matters. Norman is with her, even if it's a risky move. When Ray questions Norman about why, in his generally sound mind, he would support Emma's mud boat, Norman responds simply that he likes Emma and wants her to continue smiling no matter what, and that a mud boat can float if dried and hardened. Subscribe to the channel for part 2 and hit the bell icon to receive the notification.